Hello and welcome to the Gooners podcast. Oh, I forgot the introduction. Let's do the introduction. Hello and welcome to the Gooners podcast live watch. It's a rare. Why am I looking at Mesut Ozil on my screen? Can you just get? He's gone. Okay. Anyway, this podcast used to be called Gooners in the USA, and today will resemble virtually nothing like that because I've surrounded myself with handsome young Irishmen, which is. I think my family is freaking out that I've changed on them somehow. But from a podcast perspective, I'm happy to be joined by, of course, my one of my two podcast husbands, Owen. I've moved to Utah and become a polygamist.
Yeah,
Owen, good to see you again.
Yeah, good to be back in. Still, the ever missing Andy is out of sight as always. You know, it's getting to the point where I'm starting to question his professionalism. You know, his commitment.
The syphilis did have a turn for the worse, and we're praying for you, buddy. And making his Gooners podcast debut, someone I've known for a long time, and he's finally broken me down. Now, Wayne, it's a pleasure to have you on. Been on pods with you before, but never on here. So glad you could join us for this.
Been a long time coming, Mike. Looking forward to it. Should be good fun.
Yeah, anyone optimistic about today? I mean, let's turn it over to you. And we're looking at the lineup on the screen, and as long as something is making our beautiful faces look smaller, we might as well get to it and talk about it.
It's definitely not the diet, and no, I think an ever-present theme with under Mikel Arteta is something that is always dragged into light is the team selections. I think everybody's optimism is often based on the team selections, and this one's a bit of a sort of in betweener. I think there's we were sort of talking off there maybe about the possibility that Gabriel is still sort of suffering some side effects from COVID. So David Luiz coming in his spot, Pablo Mari probably still just not 100% ready. One of the big positives is Kieran Tierney. I think if there was anything that shown at our outing at Crystal Palace was that how important Kieran Tierney is to the system. Thomas Partey coming back in. Look, I think everybody can say that they're dying to see Thomas Partey get a constant run of games in this side, which he is yet to have. So looking forward to that. But I think one of the big things we were talking about, Wayne, as well, offer was Aubameyang still on the left wing. See that there for me, that's one thing that I will continuously question is that will Mikel Arteta persist with Aubameyang just for the sake of his name and not the actual impact that the player can have on the system? What do you make of Aubameyang being put in and Martinelli missing out?
Well, as I say, Martinelli could be a case of they're just minding him a touch because maybe they didn't spot something in his injury that they might just say, "Oh, look, we give him the extra week." But Aubameyang, I suppose, I don't know. He's not producing one way or the other, but he has to be on the team sheet because he's the captain. And then you have Lacazette, who's the only guy who. No, look, I agree with you, Mike, in that way.
I'm like, I hope you're just saying that from a this is the reason perspective, and not the way that you think that, because
I don't think that. I genuinely look at me and you have the same opinions on the likes of this. Now we spoke about it the other night, but Lacazette's the one who's actually firing. And if we need somebody to hold it up, which we probably will do, he's probably the best man there for it. Even though, personally speaking, I would prefer to have maybe Aubameyang up top or Lacazette up top and Martinelli on the left. But for some reason, we're just not getting the stars aligning for us to get these players all into the team at once. Everything seems to be going. We can't seem to get a break when it comes to injuries, sickness, player, whatever the case may be. But look, Tierney back is a good thing. Partey back is a good thing. So I'm hopeful with those two players back, they can make the difference at home and guide us to 3 points regardless. Maybe Tierney in such good form, it was better to have Aubameyang in the team. You know what I mean? So like the other night you looked terrible. No Tierney there, so maybe. But and the previous game he scored from a Tierney kind of a cutback. So.
Well, yeah, you could do worse for your confidence and for getting opportunities at goal than be Aubameyang playing in front of Tierney and just basically waiting for the perfect cutback that we know Tierney can do. I mean, I've said frequently that Aubameyang, I don't think he's done. I don't think he's fallen off that cliff. I just think he's in a very significant, extended poor run right now. And yeah, his attitude and his intensity has not done any favors, but I think you keep surrounding him with novelty. You have Tierney behind him. You have Smith Rowe in the middle, which I think is huge. All of a sudden, we're doing different things, and if Aubameyang can start making some of those runs, get into the right positions, all it's going to take is one good game to get his energy back up. Now, that said, if Martinelli's fully healthy and could play 75 minutes or more today, I don't start Aubameyang over him. But we just don't know. We really, it's hard to know.
See, just before the teams are just walking out here on the TV at the minute, and just for anybody listening, so what we're going to do is once the game kicks off, we are all going to pause the game when the timer reaches 30 seconds. Once we have all paused on 30 seconds, we will then do a 1, 2, 3 countdown, and then we'll press play on the game just so everybody's synced up, and then we'll repeat the process at half time. But just before the game starts, lads, something that I'm concerned about here is we're talking on the subject of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang there is, look, I think this subject is blade dry at the minute, but Mesut Ozil, obviously, it's just the official confirmation from Arsenal really needs to come out, and that's all it needs done. The move's basically sealed there, but something I was looking at is that was a massive mistake when you look back to put one player on a wage packet of that size. But people are saying that this is so good for the club that the club need to move on from this. But I look now, and are the clubs repeating the same old mistakes? Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang at the age he was given a contract like that, Willian a contract like that. We're talking about this is the big step for the future of the club about incomings and outgoings. But do you think we're maybe at risk of falling back into that situation again?
Did we do it with Walcott as well?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Walcott was the same kind of situation where we had one player leave in Robin Van Persie and one player who basically said, pay me and I'll be your talisman going forward. I'll be the guy who didn't leave. Same thing happened with Ozil at the time of the contract. Alexis was aching to get away, and Ozil used that to get paid. If you want to, I mean, we'll have plenty of time to talk about Ozil today as the game goes by and during some of the kind of the less involved moments of the game and halftime and all that. But this is nothing but a good thing for both sides to just move on and be done. I'm so sick of talking about. I had a nice chat with Tanner, the Bearded Gooner, and Jess Black last night. We really kind of got into that and a lot more, but I'm just so pleased that it's over. I really am.
Thank God. And this is a good question, just to move off the subject and maybe have a look at Newcastle. Something that's maybe slightly worrying for me coming into this year is Rob Holding has been relatively consistent throughout the full season, but really it's the pairing of Rob Holding and David Luiz would panic me with the physicality of Andy Carroll within playing in between those two. Something that really aggravated me as well with David Luiz in the last game was that he refused to sort of close the ball down when it was out wide. He often just sort of pottered in no man's land. So I think I know it sounds so like it's such an obvious statement to say, but if there's mistakes to be caused here, I think David Luiz is a prime suspect to cause them.
He always is.
I
mean,
yeah.
How many times have we seen that? I mean, there's enough to be nervous about with this lineup, but let's try to. I'm going to try to at least look at the positives on our side of things. I mean,
holding alongside it wouldn't fill me with the greatest of confidence either. That being said, it's just the two guys, Gabriel and Pablo Mari, are obviously both left-footed, which is not ideal. I prefer one of those to be right-footed, and then we'd have a central pairing then. But you'd want one of those two guys in there to kind of offset the balance of one of those guys who potentially will make the mistake, which would be in a Holding or a Lewis, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think it's as well that Rob Holding isn't his strong suit isn't one-on-one defending, and David Luiz tends to put his partner in that situation a lot more often than most. Yeah. So the boys are just down to take the knee on my screen now.
All right. Yeah, I must be a little bit behind you. You know, they have to walk the feed across the Atlantic to get to us. So they've just gone down for the knee for me.
Yeah, cool.
you know.
Bear with us just for this first opening 30 seconds. Probably not be the most entertaining part of the watch along, but just wait till we get
when you guys get to 30 seconds, take your shirts off. I'm at 6, 7, 8, so I'm probably about 10 seconds
17,
behind you guys.
18, 19, 20.
All right. Then I'll just let you know when I get to 30 and you guys can start.
Okay, they're in the middle of the knee for me here now.
All right.
I'm paused. I'm paused on 30.
All right. I'm paused on 30.
30 seconds, and I press pause, yeah?
Yeah.
No, we'll just count up. Tell us when you're on 25, 26.
All right.
Exciting stuff.
Come on now. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
All right. Go, Ian.
There we go. There we go. Granite Jack is starting. If you're in the live chat and you're a few seconds ahead, don't fuck with us. Don't fuck with us.
Look at that pace already. Look.
Bright. All right, so we're throwing in crosses.
Not used to the like of that.
Slightly caught out of position already over Tierney's shoulder here. Look at that pace. No doubt. Isn't it mental how big of an impact a left back can have on a team? Like, can you think of another team? Maybe Liverpool with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Maybe probably the most comparable win, is it?
Was it Trent Alexander last year? Not this year. I tell you, he's absolutely way off.
Is Robertson on the left for Liverpool, or is he on the right?
Robertson's on the left, yeah, and Trent's on the right. But it's
for a fullback.
I don't know. You have to sync up with us, bro.
I'm not going to be on for that long. You guys need to train, lock me out so I can't get into these, so I just keep crashing them.
Yeah. This was unexpected. So how's the syphilis and the divorce?
Oh, it burns. You know, weirdly, they're not related.
So the syphilis didn't cause the divorce and vice versa?
I still haven't gone back to listen to that.
Yeah, I'd advise you not to.
I did listen back to certain parts of Tom's podcast the other night, just to see the I've got something stuck in my eye moment. I was doing a podcast with the Bearded Gooner and Jess last night, and Tanner kept saying at the end of the day, and there was no one to enjoy that with. I was really let down. Newcastle have started right, the high press going on. I think with Newcastle, they need a player like John Joe Shelby in there to sort of ping balls from midfield. I think that's what they really lacked against us.
How old is that guy, though?
Not that old.
John Joe Shelby's only 27, is he? 20.
Did he start with them when he was did he start for Swansea when he was 9? Because dude's been in the Premier League for
it's funny because you think of the quality that Liverpool's had around their side for so long, and still so many Liverpool fans think it was a mistake to let John Joe Shelby go.
Do you know who he started his youth career with?
Hit me up. Give me some knowledge.
Spurs?
No, it was with us. 2001.
Really? So we almost signed John Joe Shelby.
It doesn't have the glitz and glam with some of the other fucking names that are mentioned in it.
Yeah, Shelby, Ibra, Ronaldo, Mbappe, Shelby.
What minute are you guys in?
30. 3 minutes and 40.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not only synced up in game time, we're synced up in wardrobe. I mean,
to give us a little spin, Mike. Let's go.
Wayne, have you seen anything gayer?
There's nothing wrong with that. Look, man.
Big party with the drive forward. What do you reckon with January? Do you reckon Emile Smith-Rowe is going to be fit to handle the sort of burden of the creativity throughout the rest of the season? Or do you reckon we need to be fucking splashing the cash?
Yeah, we have no money, but we're going to have to be very, very clever because that's the position we're in. Yeah, we don't have the actual finances to actually go out and buy, by all means, if you wanted the likes of a Buendia or a Sabitzer, they could just, ideally, Arsenal being the club that they are, could just say, 40 million, no problem, let's go out and buy him because we need him. But we're way off that. We can't afford really anything. This COVID.
But do you think there's maybe a snobbery around some of the fan base, because you hear certain fans saying 100%. We're text. No,
I don't need to hear the rest of the question.
No, but you hear some of the fans saying, why doesn't the owner put his hand in his pocket? And sometimes I feel like people are sort of looked down upon for saying stuff like that. Do you think that's an unrealistic request for? Well, do you think that COVID gives them an excuse, or do you think that the owner should be expected to dip into their own pockets at a time like this?
Well, it's hard for us to know because, for all we know, they might be willing to do that. We don't know that yet. We won't know until the end of January whether that's the case or not. So I'd imagine from the rumblings that Ornstein has put out, he has said that that Josh Kroenke is willing to invest because he's heavily emotionally and professionally invested in Mikel Arteta as a manager, because that's the road he's decided to go down. So you can't decide to pick a manager like Arteta and then not back him. They've backed him already with the likes of a Gabriel Partey. So I'd imagine that they are, Josh particularly, he could be all in on this, and we might get some activity towards the end of January. I really do think that we'll get somebody in January. We might get two in, but it's getting rid of the lads is the big problem.
Yeah. I don't see anybody coming in January, and to your point, Owen, it does worry me that now that we've discovered how much ESR can change the game, that we're going to run him into the ground. If he, when he's not fit or able to play, I mean, it's Willock basically, or Willian in that position, and that's a massive. I mean, Andy, at this point, is Willock going to make the team? I mean, I think I might have actually had a little bit of foresight there, because I'm not so sure anymore. I was when I said good luck making the team. I thought he had made the team, but now I'm not so sure.
I don't know. Like, Willock hasn't impressed me that much going forward. I feel like he's got great ability to run up the defenders, but his final decision making just isn't at the caliber we need. So he's one of those candidates I would send out on loan, but that means we need to bring in someone for replacement, right? Because we're losing a body. I don't think we'll sign anyone in January unless someone gets hurt.
I honestly think the backup plan, and I don't want this to be the backup plan, but I think the backup plan to ESR right now is Willian. And we've seen him in limited. I mean, it really doesn't matter what position you put him in. People stay the 10. Nice run coming up.
They're looking good. They're very energetic, high press, man.
But can they keep that up? Can they keep that up for 90 minutes? I mean,
I made this point the other night on the podcast, and it's that David Luiz and Xhaka together hold the ball too long, and it gives the opposition too much time to set.
This is where we see whether Aubameyang still has confidence or not, because he's just – I mean, he certainly he made a run. He just did nothing with it. The old Aubameyang from 3 games ago would have just stood there with the ball and not done anything.
Partey was on the edge of the box there, or Saka was on the edge of the box there. Lift your head a little bit. He was in acres of space.
But see, that's the problem with Aubameyang, is that he's a sort of one-trick pony. When he isn't firing on all cylinders in the goal department, he really doesn't bring much else to the side, does he?
No, and I think he wants to get himself on track, so he's maybe being a little bit more, single-minded in that type of a situation, to not pick somebody out and just try to get a shot on goal. I mean, and that's having a guy try to.
Oh, Rob Holding, yes, son.
Rob does not take any. Did he get hair transplants?
I hope so.
I mean,
I
it's like
hope that's up with.
there's this new piece of hair on him that's like,
That could be
oh,
looked
that
at.
was,
That could be looked at.
yeah. Let's see. Was the foot up? Oh my god. Can you imagine a worse thing? Well, yeah, I can, but
In the wise words of my late father, he says, "If you can't get the ball, get the man, and if you can get both, do it."
Yeah, that was when we played ball in the 90s and the 2000s. But like at that level, you cannot get away with that sort of mentality. You know what I mean? Even though 90s football, 90s you could get away with it for sure, but you can't.
I think it was a good challenge.
He loves that shit.
Yeah, Vinnie Jones would have done that, and
100%. Yeah, I do. I enjoy it.
And they would have given him the fair play award. Oh, dude.
That was Xhaka. Praise him, Mike. Come on, praise him.
Praise him. You know what? I praised him after the last game. I said, he didn't offer a ton going forward. His timing was impeccable with challenges in the
those little balls that Partey plays. He just gets them round the corner into places quickly.
But do you see? There's a thing that Partey does, and they don't appreciate it. And it's funny. I know this is going to sound so stupid, but because it's at a much lower level. But my brother that I played with growing up used to do it, and it's that he actually stands quite close to a marker. Because when you play the ball in behind him, there's often a lot more space, because if you're standing in between two markers, you have to get by the two of them, whereas if you're playing on the shoulder of one of them, but they refuse to pass the ball into his feet when he's under pressure, and that's a confidence thing for me. They don't trust in him yet, but that's what he does best, take it under pressure, turn and drive up the field. But I don't know, Granit Xhaka seems to be a big culprit of sort of trying to keep Partey out of the game, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, I don't know, but I'm not sure that partnership works.
Yeah, who's your ideal man, Owen, next to Partey? I mean,
Basuma.
but if from anyone on our team right now, I mean, what are the choice? I mean,
Danny Ceballos in this kind of game, the high possession game where we need to sort of unlock defenses in away to the big six, either Xhaka or El Neni, maybe. They're not great options, to be honest with you, but it's what we have, as you say. So
Ceballos not even in the 18 today. And then it comes out that he's got a calf. He doesn't have a calf. I mean, this calf.
I'm sure he has a calf.
I mean, he has two of them, but like this calf shit, like this is becoming the new, sore back thing. I mean, it's almost like they're doing it. They know that people know that when they say you have a sore calf, it's not a sore calf. But interestingly enough, and I'm messing around. No such excuse for Mainsley.
No.
Just out of the 18, and
to be fair, after the other night, that was
he out of the 18 or is he
out? I don't know.
I didn't see whether he's in the. He's out of the 18. So I mean, that's him gone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it makes you wonder why they didn't accept the money for him in the summer. Like surely they had the foresight to see that he wasn't going to be involved that much. To be honest with you, I think if it wasn't for Kolasinac being on his way out of the club, that they maybe would have shifted him on. But I think the worry about how expensive it would be to get a backup left back, they've kept hold of him because he can fill a couple of positions. I think that's maybe what sort of made the club keep hold of him.
Homegrown player as well.
Yeah, but I mean, I think his capability as a left wing back is 10 times what it is as a left back in a 4, and I think we learned that the other day. Small sample size, but right-footed left back in a 4, playing more pure defense than anything else. I mean, I that was not a good game from him, and I was surprised because I thought he could put in a shift and impress no matter where you put him. I truly thought that, but he had a stinker the other day, and he's seemingly getting punished for it.
What was I going to say? See, I'll just say it. I was going to write it in the private chat, but when somebody else is talking, your mic cuts out. Do you have headphones sitting close by? Like a pair of earphones or something?
So when I talk, my mic cuts out.
No, like if I'm talking and then you try to talk with us at the same time, your mic cuts out for some reason. It must be like to try to not, I don't know what it is. It's a setting. I've seen it before.
Mike has it set up, Owen, where if you talk when he's talking, it actually mutes your microphone. That's probably it.
How do you miss that?
Hey, while I'm here, I just want to give a plug for my new podcast, the Fenerbahce Pod. I'm going to be following Ozil's career all the way through Turkey. So if anyone wants to give that a listen, please do.
Oh, that was a nice play from Dubrovnik or whatever his name is.
Imagine how much of a meltdown there's going to be when Ozil gets his first assist for Fenerbahce.
I told you, Mike, we were still paying him.
We have until April to worry about that, though. So I can imagine when he. Oh, Bobby, come on, man. Well, imagine when he doesn't play the first 2 games because he has a back injury.
What if he fails the medical because of a weak back?
You can just see it. You can see it on Abba's face right now. He's like, "What do I need to do to get out of this?" Like, and the one positive I can, the positive I can take from that is he appears bothered by it.
Yeah. What's your take on it, Wayne, with the whole Ozil thing? You see a lot of people having this fucking debate on Twitter whether it makes a difference. I suppose it's personal preference about Ozil being a club legend. What do you reckon about that?
Would you pull the other one, Ozil, a club legend? Get in the bin with that. Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. This guy's not a club legend. I've had so many debates with people, even in the WhatsApp group that we have. In my opinion, there's no debate. What Fabregas had to endure at the club compared to what Ozil had to endure for half the money as well, not even half the money, 1/3 of the money is no comparison. Fabregas, for me, I'm not just picking a player just for random, but like we're going to go down that road. Fabregas, for me, is the bigger club legend than Ozil ever was, even though it doesn't reflect one. And at the end of the day, yeah, they all count and all that. But as I say, what Fabregas had to go through in terms of the era that he played in, what the club was going through financially, all of that type of stuff. For me,
do you consider Fabregas a club legend? Because I don't. I think the last club legend to walk through our doors, in order of when they left, is Thierry Henry.
Yeah, see, I'm not sure you can mention like you can't mention the word. It's a word that gets thrown about too much. Like even people say about Aaron Ramsey.
He could have been,
but you say a legend. Okay, so it's one word, one title, a band of people, one group. So you're going to say Tony Adams, Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira, Mesut Ozil, Aaron Ramsey.
I don't even think you can include. I don't think you include Lundberg in that. I don't think you.
No, I don't. I mean,
guys like Perez and I mean Vieira's definitely in there, but I mean there's a lot. You got to be just Theo. It's not like Arsenal podcast. You have to really.
I think
you have to really be selective.
Say again, sorry, Ben.
Unless you win a league, you're not really a legend, are you?
Well,
but then you would say the argument to that is Stevie Gerrard at Liverpool.
Well, no, but that's different, right? Like, look at all the trophies that he won as a captain, and he gave his whole career to that club.
Yeah, I mean, he won 2 or 3 Champions League.
Half of our fan base was saying Theo Walcott was the legend because he scored over 100 goals. That's how fucking stupid our fan base is.
There's so many. There's no one statistic though. It's attitudinal. It's fighting for the club. It's the only reason, the only part of Theo Walcott's resume that is legend was this, and that came on a stretcher as he was getting wheeled out of a game, carried out of a game. Yes, he scored goals in FA Cup final, but don't tell me you're a legend and tell me that a game that you were the stand-in captain for against Palace lost 3-0 that you could tell from the start that they wanted it more than we did.
I think the
that's
term
not Arsenal legend quality.
I think the term cult hero could be applied to a lot of these people, you know, that they had a very strong following and maybe really loved. Like people even saying Jack Wilshere as a club legend. Come on, like you can't bump. Like it's thrown about too much, man. Fucking too much.
Cult heroes even thrown about too much, but it makes more sense. I mean, I think the original cult hero for me, Perry Groves, but then like you got people who just loved Wilshere. We know one of them. I mean, our friend Tom considers him his son, and he's perfectly comfortable with the fact that he wasn't particularly good for us. He just loved him. I think he liked his attitude. He would square up against guys, and you know, he could be counted on in a scrap, and he wouldn't just roll over. So his attitude, I think, had a lot to do with it. But that's cult hero. That's not club legend.
What about a possible future one here? Sorry, go ahead, Wayne.
I think a bigger cult hero really was my man, Alex Haleb.
Yeah, explain. Do me a favor, because we've talked about this privately, but explain the Twitter handle. Because first of all, the love for Kleb, and then the vintage element. Because you're a man who's had a handful of Twitter identities. I think you've had to go through a few. Always vintage though. So. Unless we score off this corner kick, I want to once and for all sort through how this works.
The original one that I had was so I actually had somebody said something one day about I mentioned about signing a player, and I said somebody said something. We're only a dinklage away from blah blah blah, and I went, only a dinklage away. What the fuck? I actually laughed at it. I was like, what the hell? So I was like, I'll tell you what, if we sign this player, I'll use that word as my handle, you know. And he ended up who it was, so I used it. So I was just like, I used a dinklage for a while on its own. Then I got suspended. So I decided to use a new name. So I was like, vintage dinklage. Then that got suspended. And then I was like, I need a new one.
I love how you act like it got suspended because of the name, and it had nothing to do with anything you did or said on the account.
Well, one of my all-time, like we all have certain bonds with certain players. Or whatever.
Sell that man. If you're gonna, Thomas needs to be sold if he's going to be doing that.
Yeah, but
I think I'm a couple of seconds ahead of you.
For me, Haleb was just absolutely amazing player. I loved watching him.
Do you think there was a lack of appreciation for some of them players, Wayne, because of who they were following?
Yeah, we were coming out from the invincible kind of era where we had all these, you know, that was like a 9-10 million pound signing. He was there to kind of replace Perez. People were always going to be like comparing him directly with the like Perez, and I think he justified it. He obviously didn't win a league, but we went to that place at the time. But Haleb for me was he was an incredible player to watch on the ball. He could pick up a ball in the middle of the park, put his foot on it, spin himself around, and beat the press on his own with the drop of a shoulder. And he was quick. And with him in that team with Fabregas, walking ambulance, but with Fabregas, Nasri, Haleb, those boys, that was a brilliant football side. Like that's where we got some of the most beautiful football that we were used to. Sometimes that football was even better than what we see in that hybrid.
And that's even way I look now when people talk about like Liverpool and City as the best teams. I don't even think those teams stand up in that era. I think that the balance of quality throughout the Premier League has gotten better, but at the top it's nowhere near the quality that we've seen in the sort of early to mid 2000s, even the late 2000s.
I had a talk with one of my friends the other day about this. I'm thinking that 2008, 2009-ish Arsenal team, the one that didn't win the league when Eduardo done his leg. You have to remember that season as well. Fabregas was captain. Van Persie out for the second season in a row. He was out from October till the whole season. He was gone for the whole season. That's Robin Van Persie, by the way. So we got stuck the year when Eduardo was finished. Stuck with Bentner to try and get us over the line with 6-7 games to go. The bookies actually paid out on us when we went clear. I remember that they actually paid out on us, and they were like, "Oh, they're going to win the league now. They're that good." Like, and then we ended up losing the league. But I was thinking to myself, had a conversation with somebody the other day that that 2008-2009 Arsenal team, if we had that team for a spell between that when Liverpool almost won the league and City beat them, and then Leicester winning the league, if we had that team for that little spell of that little era, they would have pissed 2 or 3 leagues. Like they would have actually 2 or 3 leagues, like handy. But what they came up against was a Jose Mourinho Chelsea, a big spend at Chelsea, a Ferguson big spend at Man United, with players like Ronaldo and Rooney, generational players. He was putting teams together with Vidic and Ferdinand at centre halves, and we were going to Old Trafford and beating them and all. Like, that was a much tougher era, and I've said that to people. I said Fabregas's era when he played at Arsenal, he was a little unlucky that he was approaching his peak playing against that type of standard. That type of standard hasn't existed and probably won't exist for a long time in the Premier League. Yeah. And what he came against is absolutely 2-3 times harder than what Ozil has come up against. And you put Ozil back there, 06, 07, 08, 09, forget about it. He's getting...
Yeah, I even think the best thing to compare to show just how dense the top of the table was at that time. When you look at Liverpool with the likes of, the players they had over the years, Luis Garcia, Mascherano, Xabi Alonso, Fernando Torres, like the fucking talent they had from top to bottom, and they couldn't put a dent in the league. They were struggling to make top 4, and the fucking talent they had throughout their squad was insane, So that's when I always laugh when people say about Liverpool and City now being possibly the best teams the league's ever seen. I just don't think that's even in the discussion.
Oh hell no. I mean the quality at the bottom 14, the quality is just tremendously better than it was 15, 20 years ago. So, a lot of those teams had the benefit of running up stats and quality against really woeful lower level teams in the Premier League that you don't have the ability to do now, because any team, any day, maybe other than Sheffield United this season. All right. I'm watching Smith Rowe in a lot of open space right now.
I'm just I'm a couple of seconds ahead of you, Mike.
All right.
But we'll sort it at halftime.
But I think Wayne's drifted behind us a little bit.
Yeah, quick pause on the screen, and I drifted us 10 seconds. We'll just do it at halftime anyway.
See, with Partey, lads, looking at Partey there, is he a sort of symbol of everything that we should be looking for? Or sorry, is he the sort of the standard setter, the one to tell us that the midfielders that we have been putting up with years past they're not good enough? Because Thomas Partey isn't he isn't highly renowned for his passing abilities or his dribbling. Well, he's quite well known for his dribbling abilities, but when you look at how much of a complete package he is and the qualities he has in comparison to Xhaka and Elneny Ceballos, that's the standard that we need to be going for now when we look at midfielders. It isn't just bodies anymore; it's quality, innit?
And it's gas, because now that we actually have a player like that, like you'd hope that the actual management, looking at them every day, see that. And they say to yourself, "Oh no, we're not going to sign a player that's not as that's not going to complement the likes of Partey." They can nearly base and build a team around him rather than this old school. Let's build a team around Ozil. Let's build a team around a flimsy playmaker that doesn't turn up week in week. Partey, if he's not injured, he's going to turn up and he's going to put in an 8 out of 10 most weeks, give or take. You know what I mean?
Seems like we're getting into this game a little bit more now. Maybe we're starting to find some space. Stretch out Newcastle a little bit.
I think it's that. I think that Aubameyang and Tierney have now sort of started to contain Almiron, because he seemed to be causing a lot of bother, getting a lot of space. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Kieran Tierney picking his moments to go forward a bit more carefully now.
We haven't really seen that yet in this game. We haven't seen much of his overlaps.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Nobody likes that when the times aren't synced. Oh, don't worry. You'll know if a ball hits the back of the net. You can get a bit carried away. Let's see. But it's insane now as well. Look, you sort of have a bit of sympathy for the club too, because you look at the inflated prices that some of the players are going for now. Like a 30 or 40 million pound signing, even 5 years ago, would have got you. You would have been almost guaranteed a world class player. or extremely high level player. Whereas now that sort of 30-40 million is your bog standard decent player nowadays. So finances are so inflated.
I mean, I did a spreadsheet once because clearly I had nothing better to do. Comparing the like average transfer prices and like putting them next to the TV contract, and it was literally like they tracked each other perfectly. Because I was talking to somebody last night about how they were complaining, rightfully so, that we handle. I mean, we don't get value from our players. We all these guys we've let go for free. It was this or that, and somebody chimes in with, even losing Thierry Henry for 16 million. What was that? Well, first of all, I think it was 21.5 million. Second of all, I mean, no one wants to sell one of the biggest legends in club history when he's just shy of 30. But to say that wasn't a fair price for someone who's 30 ignores the fact that 16 million in 2007 is like 55 million now. I mean, if we were to sell Aubameyang for 55 million right now, I think that would be pretty good. And I'm not comparing Aubameyang and Henry, but like, the TV contracts are maybe 4 times what they were in 2007, and the typical transfer fees are also 4 times what they were.
But not even that. I think that nowadays more so than ever, there's a lot more contributing factors into a player's market value. And something, and I don't know if you fucking watched any of it, but I plowed through all of them.
I don't know if you fucking watched any of it.
But Hector Bellerin's YouTube doco series around his injury, I think, shit like that, I think adds value to a player. What do you make of the documentary? Because on one hand, I liked it. I like him, but I couldn't help but feel, like he was going on as if he'd been fucking sent off to World War II. The dude did his ACL. I know dudes that have done their ACL and have had to take time off work, not being paid and stuff. And it sort of felt a little bit feel sorry for me. What did you make of the documentary if you've seen it?
We definitely know one person who's done their ACL anyway, but that's for another. But look, to be honest with you, Hector's documentary, I don't mean to be anyway whatever, but I had no interest in it at all. Didn't even watch it. No interest. I don't particularly like the guy. I think he's a bit of a snake, and I won't be too sorry to see the back of him go this summer when he probably will go, I'd say. I had no interest in that stuff. He obviously has, a very philanthropic side to himself. And look, I admire that. That's great, but I've no interest in this. If I wanted to watch philanthropy people, I'd stick on a different channel. Arsenal Football Club is what interests me, and I've no real interest in Hector's side projects because I think the guys, to be honest with you, I've massive dislike from him at this point in time, and I judge him as a footballer when he plays football matches, and that's it. But I've no time for his documentary on that. It's just me.
Yeah, no, I don't have that level of disgust, but it is certainly I could take him or leave him, and that is a long way from how I felt in 2016-17 when I thought he was like the next coming of right backs. I actually, this seems laughable now, but I mean, before he got hurt in the North London derby again, the game that we drew, until he got hurt, I mean, I thought he was a 60 or 70 million pound player, and I don't feel stupid saying that because at the time I think he was playing that way, and it just injuries and I don't know if you could say distractions. I could take him or leave him. I don't stress when I see him in the 11, and I wouldn't stress if we sold him. And
did you watch the doco, Mike?
No, and if based on, oh come on,
sorry, go ahead, Wayne.
I might try to put it another way. If Hector Bellerin was producing the same level of performance, or give or take same level of performance as he was prior to all this philanthropic stuff and this veganism and whatever else he's into, if he was produced, I don't know issue with it at all. I was like, well, all power to you. Work away. If it makes you happy, good. And I'd still be of that opinion. If it makes you happy, good. But what I'm seeing is that there's a lot of distractions that's caused him, in my opinion, I feel as if he's regressed massively as a player. And I feel that all of those little off the field things cumulatively have helped that, you know,
have accelerated that slide.
I think from watching the
is he
documentary,
building a brand like Ozil is? I mean, like on a smaller scale. Is that his goal at this point?
well, of course, yeah, I think so, and I think he's doing it incredibly well, and that's why I say that he's increasing his market value, especially with the likes of a fashionable club like maybe PSG or something like that. There, I think that's where that's where his market will be. But something that I didn't like about the documentary, and don't get me wrong, him as a person, he seems like a really nice dude and stuff. But something that I couldn't help feel is that he is this sort of me against the world mentality, and I think ever since those comments from AFTV and the comments that he made about them, I think he's almost tarnished the whole fan base with this sort of fuck you label, you know. Because he didn't really mention overly much about how much the fans meant to him or how good it was to be back in front of the fans, or that he's doing anything from the fans. It was all about me and his family, and
that's a little Xhaka-esque. And again, it's not without provocation, but nor was Xhaka's kind of heel turn, if to use wrestling parlance. But like, it again, it isn't without provocation, it isn't without blame on both sides, but you expect professional athletes who make money off of, and I mean, look, they have feelings, but they also, if you're going to build a brand, you have to understand that social media and other forms of media is a double-edged sword, and you get in the sandbox, you better be prepared to get sand in your ass. Bellerin, if that documentary is an inspirational story of one man rising against all the odds, and then I've got no time for it. Not for him anyway.
It just seemed to dramatize, and I understand what he's trying to say, and is that people don't see that side of the game. But at the end of the day, it's quite difficult, and I know this might sound like such a dicky thing to say. It's very difficult to watch a guy sit in a multi-million-pound house with big fancy cars, the best surgeons in the world, the best physios in the world, being sent away to Greece for a fortnight to be massaged and to do an hour's rehab. It just, to me, it was a little bit sorry for me in circumstances that he shouldn't be felt sorry for.
I'm actively dropping like refrigerators on my knee so that I can get his kind of treatment. Like how do I get sent to Greece for rehab? I mean, I love Greece. It's nice. Yeah. No, Greece is great. I lived there for 2 years. Greek Islands. It's a nice spot. But no, it's I don't know. You could take it in two different ways. I think you'll get a very mixed bag, like you often do with Arsenal fans. So you do, but. I know. What do you make of this first half so far? I don't know. We've been maybe drifting in and out of it, but is this another 0-0?
I don't think we should have taken at least one or two of those chances. Some of them were absolute. Aubameyang's chance was missed that like. So,
yeah, I don't see this as a 0-0 because it just seems a little too open on either side.
There's much more space here than there was in the Palace game. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
I think this is a game that the substitutes are going to make the difference. I think maybe Gabriel Martinelli coming off the bench could make a big difference. See this shit though, David Luiz holding the ball. I don't like saying this here, but just get the fuck. I can't wait till this summer. I changed my opinion on him a couple of times over his time in Arsenal, but overall, I don't know. It's just like really how invested he is in this long-term so-called project that we have. If he knows he's out the door at the end of the season,
we are a retirement home for Chelsea Football Club right now, and until that changes, we're not going to be a serious football club until we get rid of this retirement home.
I heard
4 years.
I heard that we signed a pre-contract to take on Cesar Azpilicueta in 2026. Already sealed. We have right of first refusal, and when Oscar comes back from China, he's coming to us.
We should instill whoever our technical director, whoever's in charge of our incomings and outgoings. Danny has know the Bobby Firmino clause in Liverpool. So Bobby Firmino, if his release clause is triggered, he's allowed to go to anybody but Arsenal. That's in his contract, because after the Luis Suarez shit with the 40 million and £1, and whoever is our technical director should have a clause in, you're allowed to buy people on free, or you're allowed to take people on frees as long as they're not from Chelsea, because it's a fucking joke at this point.
Is that real? The Bobby Firmino thing, is it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. He's not allowed to go. He's not allowed to go to Arsenal if the trigger is release clause.
What do you suppose the release clause is?
I don't know. See, I'll look it up here while we're talking. But it could have changed on his contract renewal possibly. But I know that his original first contract when he signed, he wasn't allowed to go to Arsenal.
Lad, Thomas Partey is just so good.
I think Southampton should just start buying, like triggering release clauses from Liverpool. Get their own players back, all of them.
Yeah.
All right, now Aubameyang. Oh God, the confidence is just drained from this dude. This guy was an absolute he was never off target like he is now, and he's trying so hard, but he's just not calibrated properly. I don't know what to do to fix that. I mean, he's getting opportunities. I mean, to me, I'm encouraged by the fact that I'm seeing him get up there and try to take guys off the dribble and put in shots, but everything is just off.
I sent you that on Twitter, Mike, the DM. If you can pull that up.
Oh yeah.
There's some bizarre little contract clauses. I think there's like a list. There was an article done with a list of strange clauses in players' contracts. So there's some funny ones. Yeah, there it is.
This is the phase when Firmino looked like a geisha.
Yeah. Yeah.
The 98 million euro release clause. Well, I don't think you have to worry about us hitting that either.
Yeah.
98 million. How long have we got this paid off? 100 years?
82 million euro. 82 million euro. That's, pounds. That's 10 million pounds less than Lamar supposedly was going to cost. So, Lamar.
It's only 10 million more than we paid for Pepe, so.
I knew that was coming.
What do you reckon, man? Pepe, is he done, or is there still a way back into the side for him?
I'm on the back nine. I'm on the 19th hole with Pepe at this stage. I've given up from. I can't keep giving him. I've backed him.
Almost an hour for the first golf reference from Wayne. By the way, that's a new record.
But genuinely, I've backed the kid off a cliff, and he has done nothing but just show me.
Which is mental, because remember the hype that he had coming into the club? It was like people were genuinely thinking this guy guarantees us top 4. That was the sort of level.
Remember that one? Yeah, man from United got absolutely ripped apart. He did that Flex or whatever his name was. He got torn apart. He done a video about 3 months before we signed him. And he's just like, "Who do you want? So and so or Pepe?" It's like Pepe blood, presence blood, and well, I was expecting this presence, and I haven't saw any presence yet. That was been a shambles, absolute shambles.
Yeah,
I don't think his first season was particularly poor, but
he's not as influential as a £72 million player needs to be.
No. I mean, a £72 million player should be the first person on the team sheet because of their quality, not their price tag. And clearly there are certain people who are not first choice. I mean, they're not even rotating. Pepe will start if there's no one else available. I don't know who gets to start. If Saka and Martinelli were being rested, let's say that instead of the alternative. If they're both being rested, who does Arteta favor? Willian, Pepe, or Reece Nelson?
To me, and to be genuine about it, out of those 3, Pepe does top my list.
Yeah,
but because I think the other two are consistently poor or average throughout an entirety of 90 minutes, whereas Pepe has a spell of brilliance in him for a couple of minutes that could win you a match.
Yeah. Do you ever look at Pepe, his actual physical, his attribute? Do you ever think like maybe a muscle build course, maybe put a bit of weight on, a bit of muscle could serve.
Adama Traore standard.
Yeah, he looks very light. Like he looks very.
Get him on those Bayern Munich supplements.
Oh yeah.
Bayern Munich supplements.
I actually think that would actually help him because he's so light and thin, and I'm surprised he didn't put a small bit of beef on him when he actually arrived at the club, because I did see Ozil when he had a big injury came back with some serious beef on him. I thought, Jesus, these guys actually do look at that, when Pepe signed, I thought, I give him a summer, almost like a horse, a good winter on his back, but he didn't really get.
I'd rather he do extensive workouts on his right foot than anything else, because I mean that I don't. How could we have not known that he was so one-footed? I mean that it really does make it easy to play to defend against him. Does no one in France know how to handle a guy who's so one-footed?
It's the quality of the wing backs. I think especially in French football, they tend to be a lot more attacking minded wing backs as well, whereas the wing backs in the Premier League are a lot more well rounded. It isn't even that. If you look at the stats overall, there's half time 0-0. If you look at the stats overall, all the teams in the Premier League, obviously with a lack of pre-season, nobody's pressing as much. So there's a lot more teams sitting deep this season. So I think that probably doesn't help him either. So I don't know. At this point, I think 99% of the fan base would say that if a bid of half what we paid for him came in, then they would probably take
I'd rip
that.
your hands off to get $36 million back for him.
Yeah,
I'd rip it off right now. So. Thanks to the men and ladies from WhoScored.com. I don't know how easy this is to see. Let me try to zoom it in a little bit here. But we've got real-time player ratings from WhoScored. Let me know whether you agree with these or not. But Aubameyang, 6.3. Pretty much everybody on Arsenal's within a 6 to 7 range, which is pretty unusual. Same with Newcastle. There's really not a lot to separate these teams. Wayne, anyone standing out to you as doing a particularly good job?
Partey, yeah.
I think the Partey and Tierney seem to be the driving force. Do you want to know what it is? Overall, I think if you look at both sides, Newcastle as well, it isn't that anybody's doing anything wrong. It's just that there's not a lot of people doing anything exciting or creative.
To literally have, I don't know how often you go to this website, but by the end of the game, normally you have a guy, who's in the 9 range, a couple guys in the 8 range. Most people are in the 5 to 7 range. But I don't know that I've ever seen halfway through a game 22 people who are all between 6.2 and 6.9. That is the definition of meh, I think, right there.
What's the shots here? Let's see these stats.
Well, let's take a look at Partey right now. Partey is 95% pass success, 1 aerial, 1 total shot, and that shot was not on goal, if you recall. Total. How do I get that back up?
You screwed it, Mike. You screwed it.
I completely
Just look at Thomas.
So, honestly, I get the Partey love. Is it weird for me to say I haven't really seen him have too big of an influence on this game? Explain to me how he's dominating this game, because I'm not really seeing it.
I think part of the problem is that with the style of Partey is that you need willing runners with him. You need people when he drives forward. You need to be going with him, which we not even when Thomas Partey isn't in the side, we don't do enough of. Often we see Kieran Tierney make breaks down the left even. And how often is Kieran Tierney stood on the left wing close to the byline waiting for people to arrive in the box? That needs to improve. If Thomas Partey turns, drops the shoulder, makes a run forward, trying to beat the press, he needs willing runners with him. And I think that the team need to take responsibility and start to help him out with that as well. I think, to be honest with you, I think when he's on the ball, the comfort on the ball and his ability to pick his head up, be calm under pressure, and just pick out a simple pass and move the ball on in a progressive manner is head and shoulders above anybody else on the pitch.
Yeah,
I think it's one of those subtleties that I have a little bit more difficulty picking up because, he seems to be roaming around in the middle of the lot. And I'm not blaming that on him. I'm just saying it to jump out and say, oh, he's been the most impactful on the match so far. I don't see it any more than anybody else.
Sorry, what were you going to say, Wayne?
I said what he does, what Partey does, that again, to kind of take up what Mike is saying, that he doesn't. Sometimes you don't see what he does unless you're specifically like. I look at Partey and I look at a player that I would turn on a football match to watch this guy. Just specifically watch him, and you might be a little bit biased or blindsided by any faults that he does have. But I look at him like today, and you look at the positions and look how quickly he covers space, even in the defensive transition. So when we're actually going from attack back to defense, if you watch, he's picking up some beautiful spaces. And it might look as if he's just in the middle of the park. He's not just wandering around. He's actually making sure that he's ready to fill the gaps, the spaces in between fullback and centre half. When the ball is coming that direction, it's the small little things that he's doing in the background, which is kind of closing Newcastle. Newcastle, Shelby might look at it and go, I'm not going to go down that way. Partey's over there. I'll go back across the other side. And it slows them down because he's picking up the right spaces. And as well as that, what Arteta said the other night about him, it was a great thing and something that it's underrated actually. Is that Partey is the type of player who makes players around him better. And I think when you have players around you that are poor and panic sets in, and it sets in around, even that happens at all levels. At amateur levels, it's Sunday League. If you have shit players playing, you're going to panic. If you throw one guy in there on a Sunday League team who is just pure class, it calms everybody else down, and you begin to play a different kind of a game in your head.
And I think with our preferred 11 in there, we've got a few guys like that. Gabriel, Tierney. So yeah. I mean, I by no means am I trying to criticize Partey. I'm more admitting to my lack of, I watch games differently than a lot of people do. A lot less technically, a lot more, body language and facial reactions. And to me, this right here, 3 shots from Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. One of them hit the woodwork. 2 of them were off target. But I like the fact that he's getting them. I see a guy that is woefully out of form, but is trying to get back in form, and that's somewhat encouraging to me. Arsenal 7-1 in shots, 1-0 in shots on target. 3 shots from Abba, 2 from Luiz, the 1 from Partey that went to Rosed, just the 1 shot off target from Almiron. Possession 67%. That's not surprising, I guess, for a game like this. We're not going to be sitting back and trying to hit Newcastle on the counter. We're gonna move into that. Now, the passing success. This is kind of, to me, an overrated statistic because I mean, tick 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 back and forth in midfield. That's 6 completed passes to each other in a row. Yeah. Key passes. What do you make a key? What do you think a key pass is? Because Smith Rowe and Saka both have 2. I mean, is that a pass that leads to an opportunity? Is that what are we dealing with there?
I'll take that.
No, but like if you were calling out the possession stats there, Mike, you're talking 67-33. Even in contrast to previous games at home when Partey wasn't playing, we were getting dominated by the likes of Southampton at home in possession. So the difference he makes is that as long as we have the ball more than the opposition, we're going to create more chances and have a better chance of winning the game. If we're chasing that tail the whole game, you're as likely to lose as you are to win, or you're more likely to lose than you are to win. But that's what he makes. He's kind of the dominant force in any midfield. So for him to be on our team, is always a good thing. But I do think that he makes a difference in small, subtle ways, as well as, you know, more so small, subtle ways than, you know, creating that killer Ozil pass. Like, if that's not him. But he just breaks things up. I just watch. If you watch him in the second half, keep a closer eye on what he does in that you wouldn't be looking for normally if you want, you know.
Yeah, no, I would love to be able to watch the game a little differently. Dispossessed. We have 4 dispossessions. Before I roll over to it, you guys want to? I mean, just from what you've seen, who do you think is going to be who do you think the culprits are going to be for those 4 dispossessions?
I think that Emile Smith Rowe and Saka may be high up on that list, and it's only because they're probably trying more than the rest of them, you know, to create. So
Aubameyang.
Let's have a. Who's the culprits?
Granit Xhaka twice, Kieran Tierney once, and Bukayo Saka once. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's curious because I saw Aubameyang getting dispossessed as well. And he didn't turn up on that.
And dribbles. I don't think you want Granit Xhaka with trying to dribble past people necessarily, or Cedric. So yeah, I don't. Again, I've never been a huge stats guy, but it does kind of tell you the story of the game. I'd be very interested to see how these player ratings change before the end of the game, because getting back to something that you said earlier, I could not agree more. And that the subs are going to make the difference in this game, and it's bizarre because like when the subs make the difference this game is tracking at Crystal Palace. I know it hasn't been the same game, but it's one of these games. It's tracking exactly like the Newcastle game in the FA Cup, where it's just a stalemate, a bore fest, honestly.
But something that's aggravating on Mikel,
super interesting, because otherwise
something aggravating under Mikel Arteta is that often when the team come out in the second half, they look like a completely different side. But why the fuck doesn't that happen from the first whistle? You know, once you
that's what I'm saying. Like when you say the subs made the difference, it's like, why did we need the subs to make the difference? Like Martinelli is going to come in this game, and I guarantee you,
he's going to light it up.
Unless it doesn't happen, there's going to be something. Now, will he come in? He's going to end up coming in for Lacazette, and they're going to move Aubameyang to the center, right? I mean, we pretty much assume that they're not just going to bring him in like for like with Abba like we would want them to. But you know, I'd love to see that before the 65th minute, because
70th minute he's got vanguardisms, man. He likes 70th minute changes. And it's often too late by that time. By the time it takes a player to get going, get the feel of the game.
That used to drive me crazy about Arsene. It would always be 70 minutes, never any earlier than that. And
yeah, I have a message in the private chat for you, by the way. No, like when you look at the lineup there, is there any changes really apart from the likes of maybe Gabriel Martinelli that could make a difference to the game?
No, not really. We're not blessed with that much kind of strength and depth, to be honest with you. So yeah, the likes of Martinelli, you look at him, you think, well, there's an unpredictable kind of a guy in a different way than Pepe. Pepe is unpredictable in a what the hell is this guy going to? Martinelli are genuinely excited that he could do something positive, and he has proved that he's a very direct, positive player, and that's the type of player that you want. What I like about Martinelli as well is that he seems to be on that kind of a footballer's wavelength. If you look at Partey and Smith Rowe out there, right? To an extent, Lacazette does it, but more so Partey and Smith Rowe. The two boys are blessed with very, very good football IQ, just a lovely intelligence, like where they can just look at Smith Rowe's movement, his ability to spot a little quick layoff, just a one-touch layoff and spin. And if you watch Partey, he's dinking balls into Smith Rowe fairly no problem, whatever pace he wants, because he knows that Smith Rowe is able to handle them. And it's nice to watch, because we need to keep adding players with football IQ, smart, streetwise, clever footballers. Something the opposite of Willian, really is what. That's plank of wood footballers with no football brain can only get so far on their actual physical fitness. Or Willian went through his whole 20s had a great career because he was absolutely freakishly, phenomenally fit, and he was able to handle very comfortably the level the Premier League was able to throw at him. And he was a one-trick pony, but it didn't matter because his fitness levels were phenomenal. But as he gets older, you get more found out. And the tricks you need are the tricks that the likes of Smith Rowe has and Partey has. That's what longevity. That's what will bring longevity to footballers. Is the footballer. You look at Cesc Fabregas.
Yeah. Looking at this bench, I don't see anybody that comes in and changes his game.
To be honest with you, and I know we sort of slated him slightly earlier, but Hector Bellerin does have a tendency to make an impact from the bench, and this season probably more so. Actually, towards the back end of last season too, he's been very progressive in his running. You know, he drives forward into the box, so possibly that maybe.
Yeah. I could get on board with that, especially if the match is flowing in that direction where we have Newcastle pinned back. That's when Hector could be an advantage. But when Hector starts and the match doesn't flow that way and we're pinned back, that's where we struggle with Hector as a footballer nowadays, because he can't make it up and down as he did before, and he doesn't have the impact all the time. Whereas if you put him on as a second right winger, you know, or more of an attacking right foot, you know, with not so much of a dependency on his defending skills because the match is flowing in that direction, great. That's definitely an option, but I wouldn't be trusting him for any other reason.
All right, so getting ready to start the second half.
Yeah, getting ready. So we'll pause at 30 seconds in again, just to sync up as best we can.
All right.
So again, probably not the most exciting period of the podcast again, but we'll just power through it.
Apparently, Rob Van Dam's music is playing. They love to do the WWE. So I think it was Kurt Angle during the Palace game. They came out.
The best one was Motorhead when they played.
The Triple H one. All right, so I'm at 45-12.
I'm at 15, 16, 17.
Just about to kick off here, lads.
Yeah.
There, we're off now.
All right, I'm at 45-30 now.
I'm at 30, yeah.
I'm at 2-0 Arsenal. What are you at?
3-0.
So 45, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Oh.
All right.
And we're off again. Here we go. Good ball over the top there to Saka from Holding. What do you think? Do you ever notice we do that all the time now? And from the centre, we always sort of ping it into a corner, almost rugby-esque style. What do you think the thinking behind that is? Instead, rather than just retain possession and try and build up.
That's where the space usually is. If you want an out ball, right, an out ball where you haven't got the there's no short pass on, or you think that there is a ball on over the top. If you think your defender is good enough, or go on, Saka, go on, get it in.
Get it. Have it like a. Oh. Now that's the difference in form between Laka and Abba right now. Laka put that on goal. Abba, that's going to Rosette. And I mean, there's
obviously been no changes at halftime, sort of as expected. That's a free kick, surely.
That's got to be.
Man, Tierney's got that fear factor, doesn't he? You can just see that defenders are now giving him maybe the extra yard of pace. You know, like I played as a defender, and I was always told that if you're up against a good player or a fast player, just give them an extra yard. And you can almost see that everybody in the league now is giving him that respect of giving him that extra yard.
That's an outstanding save on that shot. That was, he had buried that if he doesn't get his arm.
He's a good goalkeeper. Him. I was almost thinking that I wonder could we pry him away for our number 2.
Yeah, I erroneously called him who's Dubrovnik or something that I didn't realize it was him playing, but
Dubrovka, is it Dubrovka?
Dubrovnik, I think, is a city in
it is Croatia, isn't it?
Something like that.
King's Landing.
King's Landing's right. No, he's good keeper though. Although it's a tricky one because with keepers, because you have to get someone who's almost willing to be a number two, but there isn't many of quality that you would want. And then you maybe look at maybe somebody towards the end of their time. Like I was almost thinking Tim Krul would be a good, but I didn't realize Tim Krul's so young. He's only 32, which is
really, God, that's a surprise.
I think so. Let me just double check that. I think so because I was looking at him and thinking he would be a good choice, but
Jacques has just been promoted to a 7.0
baller
in the real time.
Yeah, Tim Krul 32 until April, but he's 32 until he's 33.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the thing is, if the Palace game and the first half of this game, if there's anything it has shown,
I like us to score here. Come on.
Is I think if there's anything to that it's shown is that we can't heap too much pressure on the likes of Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe, that they're still early in their development.
Unfortunately, we are doing just.
Yeah.
I believe that we are so far behind that the entire world knows that we've scored and we don't yet. So let's just enjoy this. Let's just enjoy my boy Ava getting a goal. Yeah. Finally.
That's Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey did all that. Watch this. That was just
finally
beautiful.
He's on target. That is very well needed.
That's a good finish too, by the way.
What are they doing? Oh, what a pack of dicks.
Right, 9 people in that pile up right there. That little celebration.
Watch this,
watch Partey. Sorry, go on ahead, Wayne.
Look at that. And he's away. And picks out the pass. That's just so simple, but that's what we've been missing.
Beautiful. You gotta love it, man. I want this guy to play out of it. I'm not ready to bin him. I'm just not.
There's Ray Anderson. Ray, we're the three of us are all synced up, but you're probably ahead at the minute. We're on 50 minutes and 10 seconds now.
I think we might be a full 2 minutes behind at this point because honestly, I saw a tweet from Charles Watts before they took the corner kick. So yeah, this is I might have to just turn my phone over and not pay attention to it because I would have loved to be able to truly react to that in real time. Yeah,
same. But anyway, Ray gave us a bit of. I don't know.
And Ray, that's not your fault, man. Believe me.
You gave me some excitement. I like what you said there. You hit the nail on the head, Mike. Let's just sit back and enjoy this Aubameyang goal before it happened.
I mean, look, at that point, it was. I wasn't going to say anything until it was already in our chat, and then I was like, okay, well, we might as well. All right, so basically, we're gonna see. I would love to be proven right. I'm not always about like, oh, I want to be the one who. I was the one who backed up a wall. You losers!
Oh, shut up! That is you all over, man. Just stop acting a fucking peacekeeper.
I hate that, but I really want to be proven right about this. Like, I'm not going to talk shit about the people that didn't say that. I would just like to be right about this because I really, honestly think that he's got goals left in him, and so I think now let's start a new controversy. I'm pretty sure in that little celebration thing that they did afterwards with Abba that there were 9 people. I'd expect there to be 10. Who was missing?
Ozil.
I mean, it would probably be someone who was like talking to Arteta about strategy and stuff, but we have to turn this into like a dressing room thing.
I genuinely, when they made the huddle, I was thinking, don't do a Mesut Ozil fucking tribute. Or like,
oh my god, can you imagine he rips his shirt off and it's like
we stand
good luck in Turkey. Or, we stand with you. Score a goal for Arsenal, and then we stand with Mesut Ozil.
Now, Pierre.
Did you see that Ozil's? Well, I will never say Ozil tweeted again. Ozil's team tweeted a good luck message, always a gooner, like before the game. And look, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, other than the fact that everything at this point that they tweet is passive aggressive.
Yeah, 100%.
It's amazing that we have. It's amazing now that how much control over the players' public image that agents and their team have now. That's blown me away. So it has, the fact that
depends on the player, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm naive, but I mean, I have, and Owen, you have as well, come to to understand a lot of things that are real and what isn't real, at least from people who know. And I would like to think that, like for example with CR7's brand, that Ronaldo has something more to do with the messaging than it appears Mesut Ozil does with his. Because I don't like these brands anyway. I understand them, but I don't like it. It makes me like the player less. And I've never been a huge fan of Ronaldo. I respect his play. I don't really know that much about his brand, but I've got to think he takes a more personal interest than we've learned Mesut Ozil does in his own brand.
Yeah.
But here we are sat talking about Mesut Ozil when we're in a 1-0 game against Newcastle. Shame on me.
Oh, Rob Dino with the flick.
See, this team, the confidence you could
Go on,
feel.
yes.
Until that, now that would be was that a dispossessed, or is that just an incomplete pass? To use NFL parlance there.
Incomplete pass, probably, wouldn't it? Tierney's recovery pace, man, is frightening. He doesn't even look like he's coming out of fucking second or third gear sometimes when he's shifting back. But it's no surprise that he does pick up those wee niggles. Maybe with the boy moves.
He has incredibly powerful calves. Like his actual legs are phenomenally. They're
class legs, just class legs.
We're gonna snip this part out of the podcast and put that up on Twitter. The Irish boys talk about hot legs and calves. So Abba's up to a 7.4 with the goal. Partey's up to 6.9 with the assist.
No, there's Ray Anderson's being an absolute gent in the chat. He says he's not going to say anything about the goals until he sees us celebrate it. So, absolute legend.
And I've turned my phone over because we're clearly a good ways. Well, we're a good ways behind someone who's at the stadium, namely Charlie and Chris watching. Yeah. I mean, they're gonna go immediately. Anybody who's watching on TV is probably 30 seconds behind, and we're probably a minute and 30 behind. So the phone has been turned over. Because that's how I found out. It wasn't from you, Ray. It was from a tweet. But
I know this is slightly off topic around the match. Good turn there from Partey. But what do you make of Jack Wilshere's move to Bournemouth?
It fits. It's probably his level. If he stays healthy, he probably has enough to contribute to an upper level championship, lower level Premier League team, perhaps. Bournemouth knows him well. He spent time there, and gets to play for Eddie Howe, still coaching there, right? So I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. You got to almost wonder why it didn't happen like a month ago.
Yeah, I suppose I wonder what his wages are. I would be interested to see that. Sorry,
he's got to be on a pay for play contract. I mean,
fuck, I don't know, man. I don't know. I've heard a lot of people tout those kinds of contracts, but I'm not sure a player. The security of it. That's what it is. At the end of the day, it has to be security. I'm sure Jack Wilshere would much rather take a 20 grand a week guaranteed payday than a pay to play, high earning pay to play contract.
I'm sure he would, because he knows he's glass. He knows that his calves and his legs are not nearly as strong and powerful.
On his day, they were easy on the eye. Were.
Oh, I mean that's a guy who, I mean, talk about people who could have. Come on, Saka.
Come on.
Could have become legends.
Oh, KT. I don't even get angry when KT tries those shots, man. Don't even give a shit. He earns himself the right to fucking swing his leg at those.
Oh, there are guys who have that right with, and yes, it's hypocritical when we bitch about one person doing it and not another. But look,
I'm a hypocrite. I don't give a fuck. Embrace the flip flop.
It's the greater work that you do that gives you that ability to get that. I mean, Willian takes a shot like that, and we're going to kill him.
Yeah. Here, when see with all that pressure mounting on Arteta, even just before Christmas, there was even, I think a lot of fans, even myself at one point, were sort of like, right, maybe it's time to move him on. But do you think he's done enough now to secure himself his job until the end of the season, or do you think he's maybe a result or two away from being back in that same position again?
To be honest with you, I was close as well. I was giving him the benefit of the doubt week in, week out because of the state of the squad that he was that he took over, and the financial, obviously COVID hasn't helped. They don't have gate revenue. There's a lot of factors into it. And I was thinking to myself, oh Jesus, is it worth me getting on his back here? Then I got to a point where I was like one game away. I was like, maybe this isn't the guy, But maybe I might have tweeted that he wasn't the guy, but I quickly kind of changed my mind and went, you know what? Actually, in hindsight, I do think he has earned enough. Even though we're 11th in the league, I know this might sound stupid, but could he be getting more out of him? I don't know, because I don't know how badly that the squad morale got with certain players in the team, and how much of a virus certain players were. There was an attitude in the team that go collect your wages at Arsenal and you'll be fine. It's a bit of a holiday camp, and I said to myself afterwards, I said, until he gets a go at running a football team rather than
Smith Rowe. Oh, Saka, yes.
Fuck you, Mike. You're ahead of me. Yes, good. You're ahead of me, you bastard. You need to pause.
I thought we were. There's the cutback, but it's Smith Rowe that time. Fine, Smith Rowe.
Nah, we know nothing about football. Like, we literally at halftime were saying that Abba's been shite, and the kids, there's too much pressure, they can't do it.
Well, it's almost like
that's different when you produce it. Sometimes diamonds are formed under pressure. So if the kids produce it, well then
Smith Rowe just. Oh, that is. That's
there. Pure class.
He took us dinner money and everything there, didn't he?
She absolutely just turned him inside out.
I think you're about 2 or 3 seconds ahead of me, Mike. I'm on 60, 50 now, 51, 52.
Yeah, literally 2 seconds ahead. Sorry about that.
A blip pause.
All right, I paused.
What am I 60, 50?
Did you unpause it again, yeah?
Yeah, I'm on 6105 now.
Oh, perfect, yeah. Perfect.
I had someone try to tell me in a Facebook group that Saka was overrated. That he had no goals or assists from inside the box, which he's just done again now.
Well, if I had
never get stuck in.
To be honest with you, after that goal, if I had room in my mouth for one set of testicles, it would be Emile Smith Rowe's. They'll be gobbling that dick, because
that's almost pedophilia. I mean, he's very, very young.
Yeah, well, he's here, man. Look, he's 19. You know what I mean? There's lines, but he's over the line.
He's over your line, apparently. No, it's been a quiet game and a half for him, to where the whispers get started almost a little bit, but he has ended that with a beautiful piece of skill.
Yeah. I think that's true. I think that
we were just secondary assist. Who got the pre-assist?
I think there was doubt creeping in about whether Emile Smith Rowe could carry the burden, and it looked as if he was sort of easing off slightly over the last 2 games. But he's clinical. That's the thing. That's what I like about him. Even if he gets the pass wrong, at least he tries the right thing. And now Granit Xhaka thinks he's fucking prime Xabi Alonso now.
Yeah. Because you have an X in your name doesn't mean you can pull that shit off.
Go ahead, Wayne. What was it?
All right, we got to get back now.
Follow you and Smith Rowe. He's 20 years of age.
Watch the runner.
He's about 24. He is going to be some player if he continues on this trajectory.
Yeah. Even, I know people don't like saying this because they'd rather him be a success for a long period at the club, but even if he's, a couple of years, that's a big price tag, and young English creative midfielder, as well.
Ray, we scored. although based on what I'm seeing now, we're just
England absolutely churning out these creative midfielders.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's a position that you would have said, like, that was one of my questions. I'm sorry to go back to, but around like Ozil, I was thinking, was Ozil just a victim of the evolution of the game? That number 10, that creative midfielder, almost seemed to be dying out. We all, like if you looked at like Liverpool or Bayern Munich or any of those teams, it was always sort of a defensive midfielder and two powerful midfielders, like box-to-box midfielders playing with them with creative wingers, or goal-scoring wingers. And I thought maybe Ozil was just unfortunate that he was, playing in a period where that was sort of dying out, but they seem to be coming back.
Yeah, well, some teams just play a certain way, and others play with a 10. You're never gonna. These types of look at that ball, that little cheeky ball into Smith Rowe again from Partey. Like, I know I'm 4 or 5 seconds behind you, but it's great. It's just great to see a guy like that who's willing to take a risk so confidently with a ball at his feet, like, and he pulls it off. Like, he's so good. Like,
yeah.
But, getting back to the creative midfielders, the 10s. There's so many of them around Europe. I mean, we're in the market for one right now. But I mean, would Buendia do a better job than Smith Rowe right now? Like,
well, the only thing I would say about Emi Buendia is it's the versatility is another sort of strong suit to that thing, and that he can occupy that, or he can go to either wing. Really, you would say, So I'd say
body we need.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, I can't say that without laughing. Man, fuck that.
I knew that was going to end up happening.
Yeah, but what I always say is my allegiances aren't to a player; they're to Arsenal. So if Emi Buendia come in and he blew Smith Rowe out of the water, it's unfortunate for him. But really, I don't care if it.
Yeah, people need to be pushed. But Willock isn't pushing Smith Rowe right now. Smith Rowe is pushing Smith Rowe, and it could never hurt to have. Oh, come on!
Oh, go! Oh.
We got the bit between our teeth. Is that what we say? This is it's incredible when you see the team, when you see us play like this. That oh my god! Even Cedric's getting in on the act. Oh, this has got to be.
Oh,
good save.
Fuck! Just couldn't get over it. What time are we on? We're on. Sorry, 65.
6.
Yeah, 66 minutes. 66. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm 10 seconds off.
Do you want us to pause up?
Yeah, it's like the winner.
Yeah, we'll pause up in 15, Mike. Right?
Yeah.
Tell me when you're at it.
We're at it.
All right, I'm 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Go.
All right. Nice. Partey coming off, or is he just jogging back? Is he going to be the first sub of the game? Yeah, for El Neni. I don't.
That's smart. I'm not angry at that.
No, I mean, El Neni, and we've talked about we've seen what El Neni's done late in the Manchester United game. I mean, I don't even know if we still have that clip, but where he just literally was running around like he had just come in the game, but he had been in for all 90. I mean, if he's going to shut people down and chase them down, protecting a 2-0 lead, I think that's exactly why you have El Neni in your team. So I think that's a great sub. Partey coming back from injury. That's what you need to do.
Absolutely. I interrupted you there. I know they were going to read out Matthew's question, were you?
Yeah, perfect setting to let Pepe have a run, open spaces, team has its tail up. I like that. I'd love to get Martinelli some play, but I mean, in this game, if you're comfortable with 2-0, I think you're absolutely right.
I think in my opinion, anyway, Bukayo Saka has a lot of minutes under his belt of late. We've seen just how sort of injury riddled we are as well, so that makes sense to me. Another thing I would say is that I would almost be looking to get David Luiz off as well, and maybe taking Gabriel. He needs some minutes as well, and I think that he's just much more defensively solid, and to protect that 2-0 lead, to sort of bring on the likes of Pepe and stuff, I think that could be good moves too.
So Pepe and Gabriel are your final two subs?
Pepe, yeah. Well, I don't know. I want to see Martinelli because he's just so exciting, isn't he?
Carroll's coming off, so that is officially, we've won the game now. I can't remember the last time he scored against us. He used to score against us all the friggin' time.
Yeah. He's
13 shots to 4 on target, 2 goals. Pretty much, I mean, dominant, 90% pass success, 65% possession. It's really just been the last 15 minutes, though, that we've just looked a different team. It's nice to know we are capable of this.
It was common when we were turning the screw. It's just that we couldn't find those killer passes, and now that it seems like that goal's been in, and especially a Aubameyang's goal, it seems like a weight's been lifted off them, and they're just playing with a bit more freedom now.
No, and it helps. It helps that this isn't one of these games that we used to have, that we've really not had for a while, where we just give up a boneheaded goal at the end of the first half. I mean, how many times have we conceded in the 40th to 45th minute of games? Not recently, but that always happens. And so we start the second half with this catch-up mentality, and if it doesn't work right away, we drop our heads, and it's just a slow slog to the end of the game. But keeping it 0-0, we're gonna be better in the second half than these teams because we have better talent. And
I'm just looking at him here as well. Throughout this game, I've been impressed with Rob Holding. He's not an eye catcher, but he just doesn't do much wrong. But Wayne, what do you reckon with the Rob Holding contract extension? Do you think that's good business, or do you think we're just sort of prematurely rewarding players with big contracts? Where do you lie on that?
Me, I actually, I was in a funny place with Rob Holding because I was worried that he was going to be this kind of, they were looking at him like a starting centre half, and I was kind of like, yeah, he's not quite that. If we want to have big aspirations, I didn't think Holding was that kind of a player. Like, as time went on, not that I've changed my opinion on that now, but as time has gone on, I actually agree to give him the contract because Rob Holding is actually, for example, he's a better centre half than Harry Maguire, say, right? In my opinion, he's a better centre half than Harry Maguire. So he's a good squad player, you know what I mean? He's like a Keown or a Seagan, but obviously he's better than Seagan. But he's that type of a role, a Ray Parlour kind of. Again, not saying position for position, but someone who comes in, does a job when needed, and then he's not on the biggest contract. He's happy enough to be at the club. He's had he's come from Bolton to a big club, and he's in a good place. It's a massive club for him, and he's happy enough to be part of the squad if the squad was. And
he's almost certainly on squad wages, not stud wages.
40,000,
I suppose as well you're protecting your financial asset too, because when 100%. Especially being homegrown now, they're so much more appealing given the whole Brexit crack.
Yeah, and the new contract as well. You've got the homegrown aspect of it, and as well as that, is that like there's not that many, good Premier League centre halves about. And if you want to buy one, and if you want to buy a Rob Holding, it's going to cost you. He's fully contracted up now. Like that's going to cost you 40, 45, 50 million week if we want to ask for. If you were asking for 80 million for Harry Maguire, we might want 50 for Rob Holding because he's got the premium of he's contract up. He's English. He's homegrown. That's a premium kind of a player, a guy who's Premier League proven. So if somebody like a Sam Allardyce was like, you know what, I could do with a fucking decent centre half here, and he's looking at Rob Holding, we're going to charge him for it, like.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we may not want to lose him, but if we do lose him, it should be for something meaningful. if we decide to try to upgrade on him, or if Saliba comes back and is a part of our future, or any of those things, then he becomes expendable, but not at the end of his contract when we might get $8 million out of him. And the forgotten man, Callum Chambers, though. I mean, like,
I was just going to bring him up. Surely that spells the end for Callum Chambers.
And I don't get why, because he's so not indispensable. He is so flexible, and I mean, he can play almost as many positions as Mainsley can, and he seems to do them all well. I don't understand why. I mean, I think he's fit, and he's just not even in the 18 anymore.
I don't think he's a Premier League caliber footballer. I think he's what you said about Wilshere, that top championship, bottom league, maybe that little window is where he kind of probably. Do
you think though? Because remember, towards
basically
the start of last season, before it was still during Unai Emery's time, before he got that injury, I thought he was one of our best players for a spell of about 10 games. He was fantastic.
He didn't do a thing wrong, and he did quite a bit right. I mean, and he showed he's not as slow as people seem to think he is. I mean, he had a little bit of the Mertesacker in him, I guess. In that
personal life or on the football pitch.
Footballistically, I guess.
I thought he was very, very similar to Holding in terms of level and style, everything about the two of them. And I think it's possible that the club are looking at it in that light, where they think we don't need two Rob Holdings. We can probably get some money for this kid. Well, we have Holding, we have Saliba, we have Mari now, and we've got enough centre halves, so we could possibly let them go. Then
we need to pull our finger out and do something about it, because I'm sure Fulham could use Chambers back right now and would be willing to pay for them to try to stay up.
These guys are on, so the money is too good for them. They're not pushed on going. Mustafi isn't going to leave this January. He is talking to nobody. He doesn't want to go. He is holding on.
He's talking to Mesut Ozil, is who he's talking to.
Yeah.
And not about a transfer. He's
holding on for those 6 months for sure. And I just don't get why we would leave somebody like Balogun out of the squad because he is not interested in signing a contract. Whereas then you have the likes of Mustafi, who's obviously looking to leave and whatever else, and he won't go because he's on a good contract and he's made it clear that he's not moving. And then we give him the captain's armband in certain games. I just don't get it. Like,
yeah, it's
you're gonna have on a youth player who's somebody you want to actually try and keep. You can't change the rules for just because it suits you to give other guys a rest. I better put Mustafi in because I need to give my main guys a rest. You know what I mean? So I just think it's a bit arseways, and little things, small things like that do annoy me about Arteta. I don't know whether it's him or whatever, but the small things like that annoy me about him, where I think
it almost seems systemic to Arsenal more than it even does to Arteta. Just this this concept where or maybe it's just that we don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes, because the things that just seem so obvious, it never gets done the way that it seemingly everybody would think it would be.
Like William started the week,
yeah.
It was garbage. Like,
I think we've seen the last of that. Thank God. I mean, I think Arteta finally has come to realize that that's not going to work.
Well, he gets Smith.
Oh,
Vivek fucked us.
Did that go out?
Get it.
That's a goal.
Did that go out?
No, it's a goal. He's onside. He was behind the ball.
I thought the ball might have gone over the end line. That's
I was waiting. Man, the thing I was so worried about coming into this game was that I've never watched a football match with an American, and these like out of bounds and stuff. Man, you need to scrub up on your vernacular.
Did it go behind?
I know how it works, but my point is that if this gets called back for VAR,
no, it's in. The full ball isn't out.
That looks to be in. I understand.
That's millimeters, man. That is millimeters.
That is
like Andy's Buick.
Can they use the goal line technology for that? Come on.
I swear to God, that is in by the width of a
The valve is just keeping her in.
I think it's all right.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good.
Aubameyang's best striker in the Premier League.
Everyone told me I was wrong. I was right. I called it before anybody else. I'm pouring out this 50-pound bottle of Sunkist, and I'm gonna.
Look at that from Cedric. Look, Bellerin wouldn't do that. Look, no doubt.
Bellerin
can he make a documentary though? That's the real question.
Abba's gonna make a documentary about how everyone wanted him to fail, and now he's back scoring braces against Newcastle.
You know what? Nice, wouldn't it?
What is it?
Get this drought.
Yeah, but I think he needs 2 games on the bounce.
Oh, here's this fucking Egypt coming
out.
on.
Oh my God! What are we just talking? I mean, look, this is perhaps the least harmful time to try him, but
well, lads, we've been wrong about everything else this evening. He's going to come on and fucking boss it.
Oh, and then he takes off Aubameyang as well. I'm like, for fuck's sake, you wanted the
guy. We're going to get a penalty, and Aubameyang's going to line it up, and Williams.
Oh my God! Look at her! Look at fucking her! Jesus Christ!
Oh.
Making an instant impact on the game.
Way to fucking make somebody feel down when you're 3-0 up, fucking throwing Willian on.
I mean, you could have put on Martinelli there for a couple of minutes. Like, it's 10.
So is that our second sub, or is that, or are we? I think that's our second
sub. Elneny and Willian on.
Elneny and Willian. That's those are the 2 guys you want to bring on when you're going to win a league. Next we'll bring on Runnerson.
Lacazette, I think, is one of the unsung heroes in this too. His hold-up play has been very good. Bring on Runnerson, but bring him on in central midfield. He's fucking all right with his feet. It's his hands that are the problem. The City cunt.
Here's Willian now. Look at him go. Look at him. Look at this guy go.
Oh, what a ball! What a ball! Remember United fans used to do that with Scholes and Carrick.
What is Willian's position at this moment? Is he playing a false 10?
He's playing in 10, is he? I don't know. He doesn't even know what he's at. Go on, you boy.
Playing a dumb 10. Look at the stick. Look. Even the number. Who picks 12? What a fucking Egypt.
He is going to score a worldie right now. We're all going to look.
He is, yeah.
You know what? I'll take whatever shame we need to feel to see him break out of whatever this malaise that he's in.
Yeah, we're gonna get shamed anyway. Do you want to know why? Because see, on Twitter, you have to be positive. You're not allowed to say a bad word about anybody that plays for or is involved with this club because you're a negative cunt.
I know. No, I think that I don't really go down those. I don't. I say whatever.
Yeah, maybe that's why you're on your 9th Twitter account.
Yeah.
All right, Smith Rowe for who came in? I missed that.
Gabriel Martinelli. Here we go. At least that balances that shite sub.
Yeah, Martinelli should just tell Willian, just stand in the corner. I got this.
He's like pointing at the little corner of the corner flag. See that little area? That's your area.
Get the fuck over there, you bastard.
Most people think he's telling him to dribble it over the corner, but he's just telling him to go there and just stay there.
Just stand in the corner flag section. Just spin around the back.
Yeah, I asked if they had goal line technology to see whether the ball went over the end line for Cedric, and I am aware of that, Ray. I do know it's only for goals. End line technology is for
yeah, I was just thinking about this the other day. Isn't Willian so lucky that there's no fans in the stadiums? Imagine the shit he would get.
He would get the Abue boos.
Mm-hmm.
No, actually,
I heard, yeah, that they're making two changes. One is that you can bring in a fourth sub if the for a head injury, a concussion situation. The second is that if you bring in a sub and they shit the bed and they're getting booed mercilessly, you can bring in a fourth sub to take that guy off and end his career. When the fans come back, that's going to be a new rule change.
Subbed.
Ray pointing out that the three big-haired players are on the pitch right now.
Wasn't it
told that field was like a Yank thing to say, and that pitch is what you're supposed to say. So I've modified my vocabulary, and now I've already heard, I think each of you call it a field today. What's up with that?
We got out there El Neni, Willian, and fucking Louis. It's like a video.
And Louis. All we need is we need Guendouzi, and I mean Abba could have big hair, I suppose.
And Earth, Wind, and Fire is.
Subs. Do you remember? Was it Duncan Ferguson when he was interim at Everton? Subbed Moise Keane 3 games in a row.
That's
or 2
right.
games in a row.
Yeah, that was bad. And not through injury either.
No.
Racist.
You what, mate?
It actually just became so blatantly racist in the end. Like,
yeah.
Miguel Aziz is in our big hair academy, the hair end.
boy,
He's one of the hair end boys.
He's like a young Lenny Kravitz. He is.
He looks a baller. He looks very good. I would rather see him get minutes than Joe Willock.
Wow, that's a big take.
I watched. I watched Tom's done a.
Lacazette giving up his body.
Oh,
Tom done a great.
He's going to play 90 tonight. I mean,
what are you saying, Wayne? Your mate does keep talking.
Today on that young Romanian kid, Serjan.
Serjan,
yeah. And I read the article and I watched the video that was in it from, and the young lad who stood out more in that video was Ben Cottrell.
He's very good, yeah.
He's the captain of that side, actually, by the way. But he was fucking phenomenal. He actually scored a goal as well. It was a brilliant goal. But he looks a real good prospect as well, that kid. And he doesn't get the hype because he doesn't have
what was that?
What the lack is that do there? Here, lad, William's going to score a fucking banger here. That's why I couldn't focus there.
This is supposed to be the thing that he's always been good at, and you would think he could still be good at this. I'm thrilled not to see David Luiz lining up for it, like running in from the from midfield.
I've never wanted a free kick to not go in as much.
Come on, come on, Wayne. You're not proper Arsenal.
I've earned this more 3-0 up. That's typical.
Profiting off not scoring free kicks.
It was an absolute dreadful free kick as it was anyway.
I mean, Xhaka should be taking that. I mean, Willian should be in a different city right now. But so what did I miss? So Abba did come off, and Lacazette stayed on.
He went off for Willian.
For Willian, yeah.
Oh, okay. I too many things going on, but yeah,
Oh, Gabby, get up! Don't be starting that.
Is he crying?
No, not yet. I think he took an elbow.
There's time yet. Oh, that's a nice elbow in the jaw you got there.
Yes. He's only saying hello. He's all right. He's I love that. Letting him know he's there. That's it. Yeah. If you ever make the travel over to Ireland, Mike will have to take you to a Gaelic match.
Love to.
Yeah.
The number of times I've been over to England, and even when I lived there, and never once made it to Ireland, but in the last 3 or 4 years, I now have about 5 or 6 reasons to come over. So
We're 1 and 2. What's your other 3?
I know a few.
Let's see.
Yeah, no, I definitely need to make that happen.
Gaelic match is good crack. So
Absolutely.
it is. You're better. You're Dublin, Wayne, are you?
Ah, yeah, sure. Where are you? Belfast?
Newry.
Newry?
Yeah. I'm only up the road.
That's only an hour and a half up the road, yeah.
No, not even. It's 40 minutes if you put your foot down. But you'd want to go and watch Dublin. Don't be going and watching Armagh or Down, where I'm from.
What's hurling?
Hurling. You need
is that what that weird little stick thing that?
It's officially the fastest game in the world. There you go.
Fastest field sport, isn't it?
Fastest field sport in the world, yeah.
I've done a lot of hurling in my time. Usually right like the back alley behind a pub.
You'd really enjoy, Mike, if you came over and got stuck. You'd enjoy a top level game of hurling. Just phenomenal to see. The skill level is on a dip.
It's ridiculous. Even we played a little bit of it through secondary school and stuff. But it's so hard to pick up. Like you need to be doing it week in, week out from your kid, or you have no chance. It's just the technical skill in it is.
You're saying I have no shot at becoming a professional. That's what you're saying.
I tell you what, pick up a hurl when you come to Ireland. And go to a field and try smack the ball around. And
how heavy are they? Because I'm not sure I could actually pick one up.
It would probably be about twice the weight of a baseball, would it? A slither.
No, it's a similar weight.
I can't do that anymore. My muscles have atrophied so much in the last 9 months that I can't even do that. So I think it's safe to say we've got this one in the bag.
Yeah.
Massively impressive second half.
Man of the match.
And the good field, we have now, let's do man of the match in a second. We have now pretty much erased, I'd like to think, the off performance against Palace, which we escaped that game, frankly, with a point. Would have expected more in a vacuum where we would look at the game as a one-off, but in a group of 5 or 6 games now, back to back to back, this is a hell of a run, fellas.
Yeah.
We had to have
Arteta in.
Say I trust the process. We ain't go on. We'll clip it.
No, but I'd have to say, if you take the games as a collective run from when we did start to actually win, and you went all the way to this game, you'd have signed off for all wins and 1 draw for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, and a ultimate progression into the FA Cup. So our next 2 games are both against Southampton. I think we're certainly in the spirit to take both of those games against Southampton and at St. Mary's. But man of the match, I mean, there's a few to choose, but Wayne, what are you thinking?
To be honest with you, I'm going to go with a man who got whipped off after the second goal with Thomas Partey, because I just think he set the tone for the entire game and he put us in control. And for me, if we needed him for 90, we could have he would have just kept being the difference maker. Like, we could have scored more goals, I suppose, but he could give it to Aubameyang, and it would be, you'd say, oh, fair play, he deserved it as well. But to be honest with you, I don't think Aubameyang has the game he does without Partey in that. I just think Partey is so good. He's just the difference between controlling that game and being controlled in that game.
All right,
I agree completely. Thomas Partey, I think, like Wayne said, you'd be well within your right to choose Aubameyang. I think somebody in the chat, Victor, mentioned the ESR as well. But Thomas Partey set the tone. I think at the start we were struggling, especially within the opening, maybe first 15-20 minutes. And I think without Thomas Partey that we potentially could have capitulated within that time. So, for me, Thomas Partey.
I'm gonna strangely
William.
Granit Xhaka. Second game on the and look, there's no one that wants him out of the club more than me, because I think he's a divisive and he's divisive. But I mean, again, I don't know that he of course he gave the ball away a couple times, but I think he did well in the middle of it. He made some good defensive stops. Aubameyang came on in the second half, scoring 2 goals, but being as off target you were in the first half. To me, that doesn't make you man of the match. It makes me very excited to see, some competition now and see him kind of with his tail out, getting ready to resume his dominance, which I think he's certainly capable of doing. But I don't know, probably either Xhaka or Smith Rowe for me.
Yeah,
weird. If you look at who scored, the ratings have Saka at an 8.6 as being the man of the match. 8.5 actually. Lacazette 7.4, Xhaka 7.3. Aubameyang 8.4, but that's almost assumed when you get 2 goals that you're going to get that.
How Partey in it?
Partey 7.2, and a good game for him. 95% pass success, 1 aerial, one shot, not a great shot.
I think when you mentioned Partey there, like you said earlier, Wayne, is the it isn't the flashy shit on the stats. It's covering spaces and making it difficult to break down. But Mike, interestingly, here's a question for you. There's a lot of ratings there for the players. What about Arteta? If you were to give him a marking out of 10, what would you give him? Because there was a few maybe questionable selections off the bat.
I would be more hesitant to say, wow, he got everything right in this game. You don't know what he said at halftime. You don't know what adjustments were made in the mild tweaks. You have to hold him responsible for a flat first half if you're gonna, you can't say that his strategy was to
it says 10th.
Yeah, I don't know that this is one where I'll be saying, "Oh, Arteta got everything right in this game." I think the players won this one for him, and that's frankly, I'd rather that than be talking about how Arteta is being let down by his players and why he's not responsible for it. I'm neutral on Arteta for this game. Whereas in past games, I think he's made some good decisions. In this one, I don't know that it really mattered.
Mm-hmm.
Is that naive?
No, I think you're bang on there. Yeah, I think that'll do us, will it?
Yeah, there's plenty of good places to watch the post game. You can go to Highbury Squad. You can go to the Gooner Talk TV. I know there's some other people. Burkamp Wonderland always does a good post game show. We're almost a little over 2 hours in, so we're gonna head off and direct you that way. Wayne, thanks for joining us. Good luck, charm. We are 100% winners every time you join our podcast. Oh, and I wish I could say the same about you, but real quick before we go, the general shouts in the chat for man of the match are Partey, Saka, ESR. Don't think you can go wrong with that. ESR from Vivek. So thanks to the chat for joining us. We don't do a lot of these and probably won't be doing a lot of these, but today was a nice watch and a fortunate result. Owen, you're going to be on the air this week in your other personality. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I need to get serious. My reputation's been sliding ever since I've started knocking about with you. No, I'm just fucking about. No, I'm going to do a podcast tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. UK, over on Gunner Crack on YouTube, and you can find it at Gunner Crack on Twitter as well. So I'll be joined by Ryan Rocastle, Jared, and Mike Hernandez tomorrow. We'll just be breaking down the game and discussing some more current topics as well. So yeah, be sure to jump in and check that out.
And then we may do another kind of a preview show this week, and then next week I'm excited about this. Commentating the games, both Southampton games in the FA Cup, assuming that they go through, and then the league game on Tuesday is is Ian Darke, legendary broadcaster and commentator for, he's big time here in the U.S. From when people started watching football on the regular here about 15 years ago. And he'll be joining us on Thursday to kind of walk us through what broadcasting an Arsenal game is really like and learning more about him in general. So our next big name guest is other than all the big names that Owen just mentioned, is going to be Ian Darke Thursday week. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
10 days from now is how I say it. So thanks for joining us. We will see you for the next big win that we got. But, we're going to win the league. We're winning the treble. I told you we're winning the treble.